Here. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you to Derek Scott and Mrs. Robert Scott and the entire Michigan family, STEM family, and the College of Engineering for having me. I'm humbled anytime anybody asks me to do that, which I think I've been put on this earth to do, because 17, 18, 19 years ago, no one made a dollar bet that Calvin Mackie would be standing before anybody speaking about anything, let alone at an illustrious university like the University of Michigan. So it's good to be here in this cold weather. I was wearing shorts 2 days ago in New Orleans. Monday and Tuesday, I was in Florida for the space shuttle. I got in the pool, it was so warm. It's cold up here. I just don't understand, y'all. I don't even understand why people would even come up here and try to start a university years ago. It's good to be. How many of y'all heard me speak before? All right, good. That's a good start. So it's funny, when they ask me to come and speak at Michigan, I've been speaking at Michigan now for probably the last 13 and 14 years. And usually when I come up, they want me to tell my story. So all of you all know my story. You know about the fact that I started college in remedial reading and eventually went on to get a BS in math and a BS in mechanical engineering and an MS in mechanical engineering and a PhD in mechanical engineering. And I was a professor and a tenured professor for 12 years. See, everybody know the glory, but many people don't know the story. You see, when I come to Michigan, I tell you the outcome, but I never have told you the process to getting to that outcome. And when everybody hit an outcome, they think the journey was all pretty. You think the journey was all about A's and B's and achieving and doing all the things and receiving awards, and now all of a sudden I'm sitting down with presidents and kings and queens. I was taught never trust a man or woman who will tell you about their successes but will not tell you about their failures. Because I'm committed, their failures are more important to you than their successes. Because when you are down, when the sun is no longer shining, when it's raining in your life, that's when you need to know that everything is going to be all right. And I'll never forget, y'all have a copy of my book. I was speaking at Mississippi State, and one day I finished telling my story, the good story. And this little young man named Rock ran down the street, and he's running behind me. And Rock said, Doc. I said, what, Rock? He said, man, I need to talk to you. I said, about what, Rock? He said, man, all that stuff you were saying was about, that was the sun shining. He said, I need to know about the rain. He said, Dr. Mack, it's raining on me. I need to know how to make it through the rain. I can make it on those sunshine days. I know how to make it when I got a 4.0. I know how to make it when I'm doing good in a class. I know how to make it when everything is all right. He said, but Dr. Mackey, how to make it when they put their foot in my behind? He said, how to get through those times and I don't think I'm going to make it? How to make it, Doc? How to get through those times when I'm flunking half of my classes at midterm? How to do it, Doc? So I got a whole chapter in my book about when the rain comes. Because I don't care who you are. If the president of this university tells the truth, there was not only a day, but it might have been a month. It might have been a year in her life when it was raining. If everybody in this room tell the truth, if President Obama tell the truth, there was a day in his life when there was rain. President Bush said the worst day of his presidency was when Kanye West called him a racist. That was the worst day? That was the rain? Not the war, not 9/11, not Katrina, not the flood, not the levees breaking, but when somebody called you a name, because I was told sticks and stones may break my bones, but words have never hurt me. You hurting that Michigan now, and they're not calling you names. They punching you in the gut. And when y'all came in, there was a song playing called The Greatest, and you know Muhammad Ali was on the screen, and what we don't do is that we don't study history anymore. You know, we got rappers putting out their greatest hits, and their greatest hits was in like 2004. Lil Wayne got out of jail yesterday. He about to come out with his greatest hits. I'm like, they should have kept you in jail a little while longer, Lil Wayne. T.I.
Oh, yes.
I love boxing. I love my dad. Me and my dad, we used to watch boxing all the time. And my dream one day was to go to a boxing match in Vegas. I had a dream. I mean, just straight up thugging dream. I wanted to get my PhD, start making some money, and I was going to go to a Mike Tyson fight in Vegas and get me like a $5,000 seat and be down there with Tupac, Dre, Snoop Doggy Dogg, everybody at the fights. Bro, I love fight nights. Still to this day, me and my little brother. I lost my dad 3.5 years ago, but me and my little brother, when there's a big fight going on, you know what we say? We going to Vegas. Because we love boxing. And I'll never forget watching the boxing matches with my dad, and he loved Muhammad Ali. And if you know the story of Muhammad Ali, he was Cassius Clay, and he eventually changed his name. He never thought this little kid from St. Louis could be the champion of the world. And through his mouth, he used to take the heart and the soul of boxers, and he punked Sonny Liston out of the fight even before he fought him. And you think about all of his fights, it was the Rumble and the Jungle and the Thriller in Manila, and he put marketing into sports. And one of the greatest fights, I believe, was the Rumble in the Jungle, when he's fighting George Foreman. You know, with the George Foreman grill? George used to be a bad boy. He's a bad boy now, but he was a really bad boy then. And I mean, it was nowhere in the world Muhammad Ali was supposed to beat him. But Muhammad Ali eventually won the fight. But that whole fight, George Foreman was just hitting him. And every round they predicted, Ali gonna go down. And Ali was on that rope. Boom, boom, and George Foreman kept it. And he kept taking punches. You see, just because you become a champion, that don't mean you didn't take a punch. I went to the Super Bowl to see my Saints win the Super Bowl. One day y'all might have that luxury with Detroit. But I went to the, yeah, bam. I went to the game, man. I was up in the stands singing black and gold to the Super Bowl. I say, who that? I mean, we was having a ball. But one thing the NFL teaches you, you don't have to win every game to win the championship. There's only been one team in the history of the NFL that had a perfect season to become a champion. The Saints got knocked down 3 times, but they still was crowned what? Champions. George Foreman beat Ali up for something like 10 rounds. But at the end of the fight, the champion is the last one standing. And that's what I want to talk about, down for the 8 count. Because in a boxing match, there's something called 8 count. And usually when you're getting pummeled, the referee step in and give you 8 seconds to get yourself together. And the referee look at you and make sure whether or not you can go. Make sure you don't get hurt. He give you 8 seconds. Now, in a professional boxing match, you only get 3 8 counts per round. So you can't get knocked down every day. You can't get knocked down every minute. You only get 3 8 counts per round. I'm here today to let y'all know that just because you got an 8 count, you still can be a champion. Just because a professor will punch you in the gut, you still can be a champion. Just because you're down for the 8 count right now, you got a little bit of time to get yourself together. And the funny thing about getting knocked down, and I've been knocked down before, and we often say if you get knocked down, land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And the crime is not getting down. The crime is what? Not getting up. And we're here today because one thing that we are certain is that we recruited you to the University of Michigan, and when we recruited you to the University of Michigan, we was convinced that you can achieve at the University of Michigan. There's no doubt. This thing ain't about whether or not you can achieve. This is not about whether or not you're bright enough. I'll never forget as a professor, I had a student named Amaya. And I'll never forget the day. Amaya came into my office and she sat down and she had this look on her face. I said, what's wrong with you, Amaya? And she just bust out crying. Ooh. And I'm in my office going, oh, Lord, it's one of them days. And Amaya said, Dr. Mackie. I said, what? You said I used to be smart. I said, you used to be smart? She said, yeah, but now I'm dumb. You know. And I said, now you're dumb? She said, yeah. I said, so Amaya, tell me that day you got dumb on, because that was a very important day in your life. We need to go back and visit that day and find out what happened. Because Amaya, if you were smart in high school, Amaya, if you made straight A's, Amaya, if you achieved on the SAT, Amaya, if you was recruited to Tulane, Amaya, if they gave you a scholarship, you smart. You didn't get dumb. Now, maybe things ain't working out for you. Maybe you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Maybe the environment's not up to your liking. Maybe you're not studying with the right people. But Amaya, you are not dumb. And some of you all are struggling right now. Some of you all have been punched in the gut. And I want you to know it's not because you are dumb. It's not because you can't do it. It's not because you don't have the skill to do it. Maybe it's that you don't have the will. Muhammad Ali said champions aren't made in a gym. He said champions are made from something they have deep inside of them. He said a dream, a vision, a desire. He said champions have to have the last minute stamina. He said they have to be a little faster. They have to have the skill and they have to have the will. He said, but the will must be stronger than the skill. We here today to have a gut check. Do you have the will to get back up? Do you have the will to do what's necessary? Let me tell you something about engineering. There's a book called The Road Less Traveled by this great psychologist called Robert Scott Peck. And, The Road Less Traveled, one of the most read books ever. In the first sentence, in the first chapter, the first sentence is 3 lines long, and the first sentence in that book called The Road Less Traveled is life is hard, period. That's how he started the book. First sentence, life is hard. And if you think the University of Michigan is hard, let me tell you something about life. It's a little bit, no, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. Sometimes I lay in my bed and I dream about being back at Georgia Tech. Woo, if I only could go back to Georgia Tech. Life was good. Didn't have this electric bill. Didn't have this house note. Didn't have this wife and these 2 children. I was a free man. If I didn't want to have a girlfriend, I didn't have to have her. If I wanted to go to a party, I can go to a party. But you're going to get knocked down. And the ultimate thing you got to remember is that you got to get up. And you got to run a little bit faster. You got to work a little bit. And you might have to stay up a little bit. Some of y'all sleep too much. Some of y'all too pretty. Some of y'all too handsome to be in engineering. I come to engineering school and I see people going, you sure you majoring in engineering? Because we don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. When I was in engineering school, I missed Mardi Gras 11 straight years. Mardi Gras, the big old party. And I hear kids now, I'm going back to my high school homecoming, or I'm going to the homecoming at Michigan State, and I'm going over here. And look, that's for business majors and people majoring in underwater fire prevention and basket weaving. This is engineering. You're going to have time to do that. Right now, you have to put your focus where it needs to be, and that is in your subject. And life is hard, and engineering is hard, because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Engineering is the only profession. Engineering is the only profession. After 4 years, you are a professional. If you study biology, after 4 years, you're not a biologist. If you study mathematics, after 4 years, you're not a mathematician. If you study business, after 4 years, you're not a businessman. You can study anthropology, and after 4 years, you're not an anthropologist. You can study pre-dent. After 4 years, you're not a dentist. Engineering is the only undergraduate profession that after 4 years, you are an engineer. You are a professional. So while the rest of the students preparing to get ready to do something else, to get ready to try to go into a profession, after 4 years, you are an engineer. So we're not training you to go out and play. In 4 years, at 21 or 22 years old, you're going to have somebody's life in your hand. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a Hurricane Katrina evacuee, a Hurricane Katrina refugee, and a Hurricane Katrina survivor. Now, as young Jeezy would say, I'm a soul survivor. And what happened in the city of New Orleans was an engineering disaster. And engineers across this country got over 1,800 deaths on their hands. You now live in a country where streets are exploding, bridges are collapsing, and levees are failing. Our infrastructure, this country is dying from the inside out. And there's only one body of people that can help it and can save it and can fix it, and that's what? Engineers. So it's supposed to be hard. And you had one of the top engineering schools in the country. I believe this engineering school is ranked like #2 right after Georgia Tech. I got to look at the rankings again. I got to look at, I ain't going to bite the hands that feed. Georgia Tech, Michigan may be #2 now, but we need to check the ranking. But Georgia Tech and Michigan are right there together. But whether you're #1, #2, #3, #4, #5, you have one of the most elite engineering schools in the country. So you didn't expect this to be difficult? The question is, can you stand the pressure? Can you stand the pressure? Pressure bursts pipes. You've heard that before. I used to play basketball, and dudes would be at the line about to shoot their free throws, and I'd be up there going, pressure bursts pipes, punk. You'd be like, oh.